Welcome back to the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast, everybody. We're sponsored by Fight Back CBD. Get 15% off your CBD order with code JJD at fightbackcbd.com. All right. Milton Camp is here.
What's up, Milton? How you doing today, brother?
Purple belt, Fight Sports, Coral Springs. Welcome back, everybody. Today we have Freddy Trillo from the Trillo Academy in Miami. Welcome, Freddy.
Thank you, Freddy,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. And we have my esteemed co-host here.
Yeah, my name's Junior Vega. Junior Vega, black belt. Fight Sports, Coral Springs.
There you go. There you go.
Black belt.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's go through, before we dive in, I'm just going to go over the format real quick because we give a lot of stuff away, Freddie. So let's just, going to give you a rundown of the things we do real quick so everybody remembers. First, YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. We give away a $50 gift code or gift card to anyone that's not anybody that does, but if you give us a nice comment, we're going to put you in a little raffle pool.
Don't start drama. Yeah. Right? Nice comment. We like those.
We're going to send you. It's a gift card, so you can break it up between multiple orders. You get a $50 gift card from the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies shop. We're going to choose one winner. We have 2 bottles of CBD from Fight Back CBD today that we're going to give away. You get 2 different winners. Really, we use the listener questions. So if we use your question on the show, you'll be able to either get a bottle of CBD and a $35 gift card to the jiu-jitsu-dummies.shop.
Hey, that's good stuff, man. I'm still using mine. My Fight Back CBD. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Let me tell you, I got the nighttime one. It's the first time I've been using the nighttime one.
Yeah.
And legit, better night's sleep.
Oh, for sure.
Better than I sleep. I usually wake up a lot at night. I guess I'm getting old, anyway.
Yes, you are.
But been using that one, and I feel like middle of the night, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot, and I'm taking it at night. So really love it. We've got Power Shield from PowerXCore and the Triple Thread, the fabric, the additive. For the laundry, so great for the gis, and I know you love to wash your belt.
Exactly,
Junior.
Right. Keep washing your belt, man.
We've got some keychains from Flow and Roll.
Washing your belt.
Yes, my skills are just getting washed away.
They're disappearing.
We've got backpacks from Flow Kimono. We still have the kimonos that we're going to give away to the podcast patrons. So we've got these 2 kimonos that we put the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies patches on, and we've got one more. What is it? Hemp. They gave us a hemp one as well. We won these at the Jits Kings event. We have one hemp that's getting the patches sewn on. So those are going to go out to 3 different podcast patrons.
Patrons get stuff, right?
Yeah, pays to be a patron. Anyone that wants to work with us, sponsor, give away product, hit us up on social media at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. That's everywhere. You'll find us anywhere. Or if you go to the website, go to jiu-jitsudummies.com. You can go to the contact form. If you want to be a guest, suggest a guest, or just reach out to us, you can fill out one of those forms, or just send us an email at info@jiu-jitsudummies.com. I'll get that. Again, thank you to Flow Kimonos and Jits Kings for the wins. We actually won all 5. We went to the Jits Kings event, Freddie, and me and another guy that I was with, we bought raffles. There were five gis. We won all 5 of them.
No
between
way.
the 2 of us.
Wow.
Completely legit. There was no setup. Nobody would have known. There was no scamming. Kept on calling our numbers. We won 3.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4,
5.
but 5.
We were just I started giving the tickets away to the people that we were with who donated them back to the show.
We got to meet them last night at the event. Jits Kings.
Jits Kings, yeah. They were there. We were, we'll get into the Substars event a little bit, but we got to go outside and talk with
that was an awesome
with
event,
Jacob, the Bull Brown. I apologize to Jacob for calling him the Brown Bull on the last show. So we'll get into his win last night, which was awesome.
Talk about that.
And again, so we won these kimonos, and we're just giving away everything that we get from sponsors. We might try out, but we're giving it all away to our listeners, which is really cool. All right, that's it. Let's get into it. Freddie.
Let's do it.
You reached out to me. You said, let's talk about jiu-jitsu. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's just start with, name, rank, serial number. Where tell us about the academy. Let's start with that stuff.
There's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about.
Ready to go.
But first of all, thank you for having me here.
For sure.
I really appreciate it. I like the fact that you're reaching out to me and I get to tell you my story of how I got started. Because I truly feel that I was one of the first in South Florida, in Miami area, to start doing jiu-jitsu as a cop.
Okay.
Because back then, I can't think of any other cop. There was a few others that started with me.
Okay.
But I was probably one of the few, if not the only one, that stayed with it.
Okay.
That got to black belt.
Freddie, give us a window, so we can,
We're talking 90s, 1990s, mid 1990s.
Okay.
That's how far back, I started.
I saw a picture of you with your coach in a white belt. You look like a little kid. I mean, you look really young.
Years ago.
I saw it on your Instagram. I was stalking you yesterday. So
years ago. Which one? Because I've had. I started.
It was his birthday. You wished somebody a happy birthday the other day. You posted the picture of you in the gi with the white belt.
That was probably Pedro Valente.
Okay. Yes, it was.
Pedro Valente.
Yes, it was.
So, but I didn't start with Pedro.
Okay.
I started with Carlson Gracie Sr.
Okay. Wow.
Who was he would fly down here periodically. Actually, before I even go into that. Yeah. Do you want to know how I actually got started?
Yeah. I know we talked about it a little bit. Go ahead, man.
Because they would fit in. Because if not, I would have to go back to it.
Do it.
So we're going to start from the very beginning. 1992.
Okay. 92.
92. I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu yet.
But you were growing up. You did sports, right? What'd you do?
Yeah,
Football,
I did
baseball?
high school sports. I did Pop Warner football.
Okay.
I played high school football. But that was it.
No wrestling in there?
No. I didn't even know much about wrestling.
Okay.
And I only did actually 1 year of high school because I didn't have a father. So it was just my mom and myself. And my mom worked I hardly saw my mom growing up. She worked 3 jobs cleaning houses all over the place, and so I didn't really have a father structure to help guide me throughout school. So I ended up stopping sports to start working to help my mother out while I was in high school. Yeah. So that's how I got started with work. But this fast forward a little bit. I graduated high school. I'm a security guard on Brickell Avenue in a building called Brickell Place Condominiums. I still remember the address, whatever. I was there for 5 years. And while I was there, one day, City Miami cop guy drives in. And of course, we're talking typical City Miami with the tight shirt, the muscles, drives up in a Corvette, broken English. He's a cop. But anyway, he was a nice guy. And we started talking and I was like, hey, so what did you do to become a cop? I said, man, just start applying and become a cop. So that started the ball rolling because I didn't grow up wanting to be a cop. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to be.
Sure.
I was just a kid growing up, playing football in the park every day in sports. And then one day I said, well, I'm a security guard. And back then I thought, man, I'm a security guard. I have high clearance level here,
Sector 7.
Exactly. You want me to open your storage unit? I'll be right there. So I said, let me try out and see if I can do this police work. I have never been in trouble before. Mm-hmm. I didn't, believe it or not, I didn't grow up doing any drugs. I knew what drugs were. We all knew when we were young, but I chose not to hang out with that group.
Gotcha.
I hung out with the group that liked to play sports. Mm-hmm. And for that, I'm very grateful. And that's all we did, man. We were in the park all day. Nowadays, kids spend all day playing video games. We never had that. We were in the park all day. Mm-hmm. So I was clean. I had a clean system. I didn't do anything wrong. I was fine, I wasn't a saint, but I wasn't a devil either. So I started applying for different departments, and lo and behold, I got picked up by a department.
Relatively quick. How quick did it take? How long was that process?
It took a while.
Okay.
Because I applied for several places, and finally it was not my first choice, but it was a department, like a gateway for me to get into police work. Sure. So Opa-locka, City of Opa-locka picked me up. City of Opa-locka is still not the best city, but we're talking 90s. It was even worse.
I can imagine.
We just lost all our listeners in Opa-locka, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Shout out to my Opa-locka people out there. I love the city. So anyways, I started working. I went they sponsored me. They sent me to the academy with the condition is, okay, we're going to put you to the academy. We're going to hire you, but then you got to stay with us for at least a year.
Okay, that makes sense.
I thought that was fine. You know, I was in my early 20s, so I didn't care. I had nothing else to do. Fast forward, they put me in police work. Year goes by. I graduate. I'm a cop. And let me explain something to you. Opalaka is not like you're working, and I don't want to get hate from my Coral Gables cops, but it's not like I'm working in Coral Gables. 1 year in Opalaka is probably 10 years in Coral Gables.
Stress-wise, you mean?
Oh, exposure to everything.
Activity.
I mean, from
arrests.
From the first day, I was showing up to scenes of homicide scenes, people dead. I never seen any of that stuff before. Yeah. I never seen what crack was or any of that stuff. So talk about crash course and learning.
Sure, you get seasoned real quick.
Of course, you know that's like a new person starting to train with John Danaher.
Yeah,
you know you're gonna learn that stuff.
Throwing it with the sharks.
You're with the sharks, my man. So, anyways, I thought that the police academy would provide officers with the absolute best training that you would need to go out there and do your job, right? You would think that way.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong. Yeah. The police training, at least in the state of Florida, that curriculum, that self-defense curriculum is put together up in Tallahassee, up north somewhere.
Well, was it the same as it is now, where you get certified? You can get certified and then apply. Right, it works both ways. You can get certified as a cop and then go apply to departments, or the department sends you to a police academy that's not necessarily run by that city. Correct? That's
yes,
the way it is
that's how it is when it becomes for a hiring purpose.
Yeah,
but I'm referring to the self-defense.
Okay.
That the police academy teaches officers.
I got you.
And back then, it was still very much 1970s striking, kickboxing, the Bruce Lee era. A lot of the self-defense that was taught in the state of Florida, at least, and I'm sure it was like that across the world, across the U.S., but at least in the state of Florida, was based off of the 1970s.
Old school. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing that
I'm
can really
a
help
badass
officers.
fighter standing up, and nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with ground fighting. Very little. And what little they had was pure garbage.
Would you say it was like boxing based, where you guys would put gloves on, put some headgear on, get in a ring, and that was the training that was considered?
They would
combatives?
have, depending on what department is teaching you. Like I went to, I've throughout the years, I've seen that some departments do that, some training places do that. But yeah, it's not so much a ring. It's just they put two guys.
Sure.
Put gloves, and we're going to toughen you guys
but
out so you can feel.
It was
what a punch is.
boxing based.
Yes.
Right. Nothing going to the ground,
Right.
which majority of fights end up on the ground.
Exactly.
Right.
Almost all of them.
So, what got you into finding something to help you maybe bring that to the department?
The story gets interesting. I know where he's going because he gave me a little tease.
This is going to get deep.
Yeah.
Okay. So here I am. I'm out of my FTO they call it an FTO program, where the first couple of months you ride with an officer. So I was cut loose. I made it through that, and I'm on my own. Here I am, a young guy in my police car.
No partner, you're literally alone in the car by yourself.
Yeah, it's a small department. Opalago is a very small department, so you don't usually ride with someone.
Gotcha.
And actually, I like being by myself because I get car sick.
Okay.
So I don't like being in the passenger seat so much.
Gotcha. Yeah,
so,
yeah.
anyways, I'm out on my own. And here I am. It's a nice day, beautiful, sunny. And here I see this guy driving recklessly. And so he caught my attention. I'm not really a traffic cop. And I'm not putting down traffic cops. I'm not really a traffic cop. I don't sit behind a tree. Oh, I got you speeding. Pull over, buddy. No, I don't do that. To me, I was into arresting people. I like to do active stuff.
Sure.
So this guy, he pulls over. I got behind him, And as soon as I activated my lights, he turned one quick corner. It was like, I mean, it was really fast. And he immediately pulls over. He just turns into a building complex and pulls over immediately and stops, exits his car, and now he's walking towards me. Now you got to understand something. Per most protocol procedures, if you have time, you get on the radio and you say, hey, unit.
Get a backup unit.
No, well, at least you say, unit Freddy Trillo, whatever. I'm just using it for example. I'm not going to get into the police terminology. I'm conducting a traffic stop at such and such place to such and such vehicle, and you give the tag number. You give all that information. So in case something happens, the dispatcher knows what you have. Well, that's nice if things, if you have time to do that. But when you get behind a guy, and then you have the radio where you have multiple people talking, so you have to wait for your turn to get in there. Mm-hmm. You can't just blurt in there immediately. But if you get behind a car and he all of a sudden stops and jumps out of the car and not runs away, it's okay if they run away. You just set up a perimeter or whatever. But this guy starts walking towards me. I don't know whether he has a gun. I don't know what his intentions are.
Sure.
So you don't have time to get on the radio. You can't get out of the car and, sir, do me a favor. Can you wait there until I take this traffic stop? You can't do that.
And this is daytime or nighttime?
This is daytime.
Okay.
So I get out of my car quickly. And one thing that I had is I have street sensibility and I have common sense. I knew I can read somebody. I grew up in bad areas.
And he wasn't coming over to say hello.
Yeah, exactly. Hey. I can read the body language. I can see the facial expressions. I can see the clenched fist. I can see the nonverbals coming at me. So I knew I was dealing with something more than just somebody speeding, but I didn't know what it was. So I thought quickly. I looked at the guy. I said, bro, what's going on? Whoa, stop. What's your emergency? Is something happened? Something happened to you? You need to get to the hospital or something? I'm buying time.
Sure.
And I still, so what happens is, as he's walking toward me, he stops because...
You caught him by surprise.
Yes, I threw him off.
Yeah.
So I can see the little spinning, everything's spinning up there. And I'm like, okay, so I got him to stop, but I got to continue this act now. So what happened, man? What's going on? Why are you driving so fast? He goes, he just starts mumbling, whatever. So now I got him to calm down. I said, okay, well, do you have a license or something? He goes, oh, yeah. Pulls out a wallet. But when he opens the wallet, now this guy is a black male. He's about 6'2", 220. I'm 5'9". And I was like 22, 23 years old at the time. I was soaking wet 160 pounds. But no jiu-jitsu. And the guy pulls out a wallet. A picture ID falls out of the wallet. Now picture this. Guy standing here. I'm standing here. He pulls out the wallet. And the picture ID falls. And it goes up. It goes up. It felt like it took an eternity to fall. And when it falls, it's a white male on the picture.
Oh, wow.
He looks down at it. I look down at it. And just picture us both looking up at each other.
Wow.
And then no words were said. He just straight rushed me.
Wow.
There was no training in the police academy
that prepared you for that moment.
That prepared me for somebody just
rushing right at you. Wow. Yeah,
just bum rushing you straight. Not only did he rush me, he didn't even want to fight. He just rushed me, bear hugged me, picked me up, slammed me on concrete. He mounted me. This is 1992. There's no UFC back then. There's no ground and pound that we knew about back then. But he knew about it because that's all he did.
Wow.
He mounted me, He placed a forearm on my neck and he just started punching away. Broke my lips, chipped a tooth, broke my nose, gave me two. My eyes are brown. They were black. Okay. I had Oriental eyes like you, kind of. All right. Even worse, I could barely see. That. I mean, this was a couple of days later. You couldn't even recognize me. That's how bad I got beat up. And he grabbed my radio. He knew where my radio was. He grabbed it. He threw it over a fence. So now I have no radio. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew I was on a traffic stop. He grabbed my handcuffs. Wow. He threw them over the fence. I have no radio, no handcuffs. The only thing I had left was my gun. Now, one thing I had, one common sense move I did prior to going out on police work, I didn't have a lot of money back then, was that I invested money in a level 3 safety holster. Back then it was called a Safari level 3 safety holster. It was very hard to take out the gun even on my own. Mm-hmm. Takes multiple hours of practice. So it makes it almost impossible for somebody mounted on you to remove that gun off of you. I knew that at that moment because I'm on my back and you have to kind of go back.
Give it a twist.
There was no way he was going to get my gun out.
Yeah.
One. Two, because I've had people critique me. Well, why didn't you take your gun out and shoot him? You don't understand. When you're that close, when somebody's mounted on you and he has that leverage on you. Sorry, I got away from the mic. He has that leverage on you. The last thing you want to do is try to remove that gun because he can take that gun easily from you. And I wouldn't be here right now had I done that. So I said, you know what? I remember I was looking at the sky and he started punching. There comes a point where you no longer feel the punches. You see them coming, but you don't feel it anymore. And I know this because I didn't feel any pain at the moment.
Adrenaline kicking in too.
The adrenaline started kicking in. I was feeling no pain.
Wow.
All I know is that boom, boom. Thank God I have a strong chin, so it's very, very hard to knock me out. But I can still get
You're still going to feel it.
I'm still feeling those strikes hitting me. Okay. I remember looking past him. And I'm not going to mention his name. I'll never forget his name. It's etched in my mind. I'm not going to glorify the guy. But I remember looking past him and looking at the sky, beautiful blue sky. And the only thing that kept going through my mind is, I can't believe this is happening to me. And you know what, guys? I know that that's the exact same thought that many people that are no longer with us, they had those same thoughts right before they die. And they move on to whatever world we'll soon reach. I couldn't believe this was happening to me. I can't believe I'm going to die here in Opalaka. and nobody knows I'm here. Because I thought I was going to die. The only thing in this guy's face was pure rage. He had foam coming from his mouth. He was high on crack cocaine. He was trying to bite me.
Wow, really?
I could only try to keep him away because I didn't want to get bit or anything. I would try to turn to my side to keep him from getting my gun. So this went on for like 15 minutes. Finally, bystanders, somebody that lives in that complex, called 911 and said, listen, I heard the 911 tapes. He said, listen, you need to get a cop over here to help your cop out because he's about to get killed. Those were the tape. That's what the callers were saying. Mm-hmm. He's about to get killed. And I can hear sirens coming from everywhere. But because we were like in an apartment complex, they couldn't find me. He got up. He finally got tired of beating me up. He got up and he just started walking away. And I was on the floor and I sat up and I see him walking away. And I just walked. I got up. I finally got to my feet and I started walking towards the street. And he was a few feet in front of me. And he was tired. You know, the average fight in the street, 30 seconds, you're tired. He was dead tired. And the units, as they came up, I just pointed to him. They got him into custody. And, you know, that was an incident that I went home. I had to take like 2 weeks off because I couldn't go back to work like that. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
The department never gave me any remedial training for that. There was no training that the department could give me.
There's different times.
It was a different
now.
time.
Yeah, not like now.
So,
where
yeah, go ahead.
we have more programs now, right? For first responders, for individuals that have traumatic experiences like that. So
Yes.
I think we're in a better place, right?
Yes.
2020. But
By
you're
far.
talking about mid 90s, early 90s, right?
Early 90s.
So now we understand that now there's no self-defense aspect outside of maybe throwing on gloves every now and then, right? With, you know, that's your morning ritual, whatever, 3 days a week. So what did you want to do? You
All right.
recover? How long does it take you to find something that's going to make
Okay, so a couple of months, I started looking for martial arts. I used to box back then, and I was pretty decent at boxing. I used to box at Tropical Park. I didn't like doing it too much because I would get severe headaches. So I said, I like the boxing, but I don't like getting hit. Nobody likes getting hit. But,
Yeah, not in the head.
but the headaches were just too much. So anyways, I said boxing's not really what I need because this guy grabbed me and threw me down. I tried Aikido, did that for a while. But then I didn't like Aikido too much. The Aikido was probably the one I stayed with the most at that time because I couldn't find anything else.
Okay.
I just couldn't find anything else. It was like nothing. I was looking at different martial arts. I tried, I don't know, man. I went to different places, man. I go, this shit ain't gonna work. I'm sorry, I am sort of cursing.
go ahead.
I said, this is not gonna work. That's not gonna work. I kind of liked the martial art instructor that I had back then. His name was Johnny Giordano. Some people in the old school may remember. He's still around, by the way. His son is a City of Miami cop. Very good guy also. Johnny Giordano was an Aikido guy. I wasn't really so much with Johnny. Forgive me, Johnny. For his Aikido. I was more with him because of his mindset. The guy was a savage when it came to fighting. Again, not so much the techniques, but the mindset. You go through that guy, man. You don't sit
whatever
there.
you gotta do.
You gotta go through that guy, man. You see him right there? I want you to go right through him. I want you to destroy that guy. And that was a mindset that I had never seen, even in police work. And I kind of loved it. So I stayed with him for a while. I started doing a few local tournaments. They call it point fighting. Point fighting, striking tournaments. I still got videos of me doing it. I was kicked out of all of them.
Why?
Bro, I got kicked because I had this wormy little guy bouncing on his toes, coming at me with little kicks like this.
That's that Bruce Lee stuff, right?
And he would tap me, and the referee, boom, give you a point. And the crowd, and bro, I go, motherfucker, bro. This guy's touching me and celebrating a win. You didn't do anything to me. Oh, you want to celebrate? Not a problem. Round 2. Bah! Boom, disqualified out. You can't hit people hard. Well, he's celebrating. If he wants to give him his point, okay, but don't celebrate. Because you celebrate, I'm going to hit you hard. Oh, I'm going to hit you back. Well, then let's fight.
That's a fight.
Now you're in a fight.
Yeah, because now my mindset started to change. You know, and Johnny was like, what, you want to fight him? Johnny's crazy back then. Anyways, so I was with him for a little bit, but I remember sitting at my friend's house one time, and first UFC came on. UFC 1, Royce Gracie. And I remember sitting there with my friends, and I wanted to see what this was all about, because back then, it's not like the UFC today. You know, the UFC today is about, it's pretty much even. It's more about the athlete that learns the jiu-jitsu and the striking and the MMA in general to step into a ring. So, you know, back then it wasn't like that.
It wasn't organized. It was the first thing that ever came out like that. That was, you know, just people of different arts fighting.
Well, that was their intention, right?
Yeah.
That was their intention to show.
The intention in the very beginning was not to show Royce Gracie. Royce is a great guy, but let's be honest, he's not the elite athlete that we see today in fighting.
In comparison to what
Exactly.
Sure.
And
he knew Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and that's what it was. A highlight.
I mean,
right?
it was part of
Spotlight.
if you watch any of the documentaries about them, I mean, they chose him on purpose. They didn't put Hickson in because he was fighting overseas and he was kicking ass. They didn't want him to come in and dominate. They wanted to show a skinnier fighter just using jiu-jitsu.
Well, that's
right?
what they
Really, right?
say.
Okay.
And it sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the truth. I've heard some different things.
Okay.
Yeah, on paper, it sounds good.
Yeah, in the documentaries, it sounded great.
It sounds good. I think it may have to do more with money or something.
Yeah, I mean, there was in Hickson's documentary, I forget what the name of it, but in Hickson's documentary, he kind of goes into the money side of it, and they're very careful not to go too deep.
So what jiu-jitsu was around in South Florida during that time?
None yet.
Okay.
None yet.
So it's not like it was on every corner. Like
right. So before
like
I lose track, getting back to that first UFC, the great thing about it was let's see which martial arts is better suited for all out fighting.
Sure.
And that's what I was so interested because, all right, we got a karate guy. Oh, we got a kung fu guy. Oh, we got a boxer here.
Street fighter.
We got a wrestler.
The only thing that we knew, combat sports, was boxing.
Right.
That's the only thing that was really on TV.
And cage fighting was
kickboxing.
so like...
Kickboxing.
I think you had a few notable guys back in the day. They were pretty good at kickboxing.
But that was being televised.
Yeah. From a popularity standpoint, it was just boxing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's
ABC,
what we grew up.
Saturday afternoon.
What we grew up
watching
so.
boxing.
Yeah.
That's what we had.
And those guys were good. Everybody in their own profession were really good. But now it's everything. It's punching, kicking, takedowns, grappling.
Yeah.
Everything is involved. Now we got to see which one is the best for that environment. And that's where jiu-jitsu freaking,
Exploded.
they didn't win them all, but if they had 20 fights, they won 18 of them.
Yeah,
that's a huge percentage.
They were able to dominate with jiu-jitsu.
Exactly. So that's when I remember looking at it, and I was fixed and glued. And I was like, man, I don't know what this jiu-jitsu is, but I'm going to find a place down here. I'm going to find one that teaches it. It was around the mid-90s, 95 or 96. I'm not sure, man. But I found a place in downtown Miami that they were teaching jiu-jitsu. Conan Silveira, Marcus Conan Silveira, and his brother Marcelo. They were teaching out of the Centris building in downtown Miami on a high floor. And I remember I went and I took my first class. And I, like always, they put you with the smallest guy in the place. You want to try out class? Mm-hmm. Hey, they call it the smallest guy. And you kind of feel good because you see all these other monsters in there and you're like, oh, I'm going with the little guy. I'll be all right. Tie you up like a pretzel, dude. And I remember standing there. You're trying to understand the what you don't understand, as what everybody goes through.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, sign me up.
Wow. Can I ask you a quick question? That Conan, is that the same Conan that's in the American Top Team?
Yes, sir.
That is okay.
That's it. I started with them. The American Top Team wasn't American Top Team back then.
Okay.
It was the Silveira brothers.
Okay.
That's what they called it. But Carlson Gracie was always there. I mean, I would see Carlson Gracie every day. Him, and then his son started coming in, Carlson Gracie Jr., who's now in Chicago. And that's who I started. I was with him for a couple of years. We were a couple of years in downtown Miami. By the way, let me explain something to you. to show you how much love and wanting that I had, the fire that I had inside of me. Those that are in Miami understand the drive from Kendall or Ken Hell
There go our listeners in Kendall too now.
to downtown Miami at 8 a.m. Try making that commute under 2 hours.
Wow.
You barely make it, if that. So I would have to wake up. The class was like at 8 a.m. I would wake up like at 5 or...
Beat the traffic.
No, man. I didn't like driving over there because it's just the mission to drive. And then the parking in downtown Miami. So I would drive, get the Metro Rail, all the way to downtown Miami, get off, walk several blocks. So it was about a 2.5 hour commute, 3 hours if you're talking about from the time I wake up and stuff, just to go train.
That's dedication, man.
And here we have people complaining about 5 minutes late.
Just so you know, I am 1 minute from the gym. I've timed it. I am 1 minute from the gym right here on Sample.
Okay.
Driving.
Big commute.
Awesome.
I have no excuses not to go train.
Awesome. 1 minute. I
1
would
minute in
jog
the
there,
car.
get a nice warm up.
I'm literally 1 minute from when I put
awesome.
the car in reverse.
So I started training there. From there, we moved. They moved to South Beach, and they had a place on Alton Road. So there goes my commute on the train because there's no train to South Beach. I hear they're in the works of finally doing it 20-something years later, but it's still not built yet. But it'll be great to have one go to the beach. But anyways, so then I had to drive to South Beach.
From Kendall.
Wow.
From Ken Hill. Yeah. And so talk about the love and dedication to, because guys, I almost died.
Sure.
I would have driven
to
to Orlando
Yeah.
if I had to. I would have done it.
Some guys would have crawled under a rock. Some guys would have quit. Right?
For sure.
You know, you're talking
For
about
sure.
some families might have pushed you to, listen, maybe this isn't the right thing for you, but you went the opposite direction. You said, I'm gonna learn how to do this. I'm gonna learn how to protect myself.
Yes.
How long was that commute for you? How long did you do that for? How many years to South Beach?
Okay, I was in total with Conan for about 2 years.
Okay.
And can we say just so that people that don't know who Conan is, we have a lot of younger listeners in the jiu-jitsu world, younger in white, blue, purple. So they're probably just kind of learning these names in some cases. For those that don't know, Conan's the big dude with the beard that's in Amanda Nunes's corner when
Yes.
she fights in the UFC. That's where people will go, oh, that guy, very large man.
Yes.
Salt and pepper beard, right? And
Yes.
you can't miss him. And he's always the one that's giving her a big hug or throwing fighters on his shoulders. But that's who Conan is, so people know.
I have nothing but love for Conan and his brother Marcel.
Yeah.
They were my first instructors, and I learned a whole bunch from them. And it was funny because back then, everybody would come down. Liborio, Mario Sperry, Amari Bettetti. There's an old school name. I mean, the top dogs at that time would all come down to South Beach.
Which is good because there wasn't that many locations, so that was a hub at the
Exactly.
time, right? So you have all these high
man.
names.
Talk about a Shark Tank.
So how long did you train? You said you trained there for 3 years, give or take?
About two, because I got up to blue belt.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I got up to blue belt with him, and but then I ran into Pedro Valente one day, and I took a class with him. And the one thing that I really liked about him at that time is that he was very organized with his lesson plans. And that was something kind of new to me. I had not seen jiu-jitsu because on Conan...
A curriculum.
A curriculum, exactly.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, this guy's got a PowerPoint. This is what we're going over today. I mean, guys, this is new to me at that time. Sure. So, man, this is pretty organized. Yeah. And then they had what they had back then was the Gracie combatives, the fundamentals. We're gonna go over, what to do when they grab you in a bear hug from the front, from the back, from the side, whatever, headlocks, and all that stuff was like, wow, I can see how this can kind of help me in my police work and stuff. So I switched over to Pedro for 17 years.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that. They don't know that I graduated from the Valente brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smaller commute as well to the beach. Is that part of the reason?
Yes, it was a lot closer to me. Much closer to me. From a 2-hour drive to 15 minutes.
Sure. That's very similar to what happened to me. I was training with Popovich for 5-7 years, and then the commute just became too much longer because we ended up moving into Coral Springs.
Yeah.
So that's a 35-40 minute commute. Not that, nothing in comparison to what you did, but this is after working or trying to get there in the morning. No excuses, but
Right.
But that combative system that you're talking about in the late 1990s is what got introduced into the Marine Corps. Because when they started revamping their program, when it came to introduce the new combatives, which is MCMAP, right, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, it has a lot of those combatives. What if somebody grabs you in a bear hug from behind? How do you get out of that? Or if they grab you, or if they have a pistol to your head, to your chest. We did a lot of stuff on the ground, basic stuff that, again, it's still there. Kimuras from Mount, Americanas, all those simple things, right? So that curriculum, again, it transfused over to the Marine Corps, and what's caught my interest in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's correct. And that got the snowball effect going because now I think all the military, pretty much, for the most part,
Has some type of combatives.
I mean, most of the guys, it was just to mention, most of the guys that are involved with the show, Janet included. Janet's husband's a Marine. Junior's a Marine. Raul, who joins us on occasion, is a Marine. So I'm surrounded by these military guys. Alex, who was on the show, former Marine. I mean, this is a natural progression. I mean, you guys talk about it being an extension of the brotherhood. It fills that gap in the brotherhood that you lose when you come out of the service. But I mean, you guys are all,
to show you how focused I was on learning to get tougher and learning I was going to join the Marine Corps. I've mentioned this before, but I did. I signed up, and I was still a cop. I was a cop at the time. But I was going to put my career on hold and go join the Marine Corps. Man, you think I'm crazy, but I was single. I had no kids. I had there's no girlfriend back then. You just go out with chicks, do what you got to do, and that's it. I was not serious about anything. And then I grew up with one parent, so I was ready to move out. I was going to put my police work on hold. I was going to join the Marines. I signed up for the Marines. I had done everything. And like a week or two before I was supposed to leave, I blew out my knee playing basketball.
Wow.
Now, I believe things happen for a reason. I didn't cry about it. I didn't whine about it. I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Just happened.
Yeah. And so I stayed in police work.
And you kept training with Pedro Valente.
Yes.
So with him, you said you were with him for 17 years.
17.
Now, in those 17 years, did you get you went from blue to black.
Yes.
What was your most favorite or surprise promotion belt that you received? Was it, for me, I think it was my brown belt. But for you, with being with Pedro that long, what did you find to be like the most rewarding moment in your training when you received a promotion?
When I received a promotion of black belt?
Or any belt. Or was your black belt your surprise promotion? Were you think
I didn't get it the first time. I don't think I got it the first 2 times I went out. I had the test back then. They had a little test, and not a little test.
Which they still, I think they still have.
They
that.
do.
They still have a very strict, very in-house black belt test, right?
Right. So, yeah, and I think I failed it the first 2 times. And I remember the first time I thought I was going to get it, and I brought my family and stuff, and I didn't get it. Ceremony ended, and I didn't get it. Second year, I didn't get it again. But my second year, I was like, all right, I see how this works. They're not going to give me a black belt? Not a problem. All you guys that got promoted, you better watch yourselves because I'm coming after everybody. And that's what I did.
That's a good way to look at it.
And I made it a mission. I was headhunting you black belt? Come on. I was headhunting everybody. So I figured I'm gonna put pressure. And I finally got my black belt. I'm not saying that that's why I got it, but that's one way to look at it.
Persistence, right? Persistence
They
pays.
motivated you.
That's one way to look at it.
Whether they intended to or not, it motivated you.
Do you know how many people I've met, and probably you have also, that didn't get promoted and they left and they quit? That makes the instructor feel like they made the right decision.
Yeah.
Are you going to quit? Or are you going to lace up your boots and get your ass back in training and get better and move on?
We've talked about that a lot, about deserving, whether or not, like you feel like you deserve a promotion. From a student side of going, I don't deserve it, I don't want it. Or the guy that thinks that he's supposed to go from blue to black in a year. We might know somebody like that. Not you, not Junior, not me. But we've trained with maybe one or two individuals who believe it's owed to them.
Right.
And I think, both of those things are wrong. One of the first podcasts we did, we talked about when I started at Fight Sports here, it was a sea of white belts. I had moved from another school that was closing. I walk in, it's mostly white belts. I'm blue. We go on Christmas break. I come back. Everybody's got a blue belt. I didn't know they had a promotion. So I come back. I'm like, oh, shit, everybody's blue. But fast forward, that group, amongst that group, those guys grew. New white belts came in. And some of those guys, again, even involved with the show, I remember when they were going to test for their blue belts. And there was a couple of them that were like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like I'm ready. And I had to, I was not even at purple yet. And I said, you have to understand, this is not giving you the blue belt because you know everything you need to know at blue belt. They're giving you the blue belt because it's the start of your blue belt journey, right? It's not, what you need to know at white belt. You're going to test. And if you pass that test, now this is the next step. You're going from first grade to second grade. And a lot of them didn't understand that until it was kind of explained. They had unrealistic expectations, at least what was expected of them. Right. So we talk about it from both sides. So we've gone into that a lot. Again, a lot of our listeners are younger in the jiu-jitsu game. So we definitely try to reinforce that. Like, listen to your coach knows. You have a very different story. You 2 years, 2 different times, you didn't get it, but it motivated you to go head hunting. I'll quote you, to go head hunting.
Yes.
And go after it, and you got it,
So while I was with him, I did get to train with everybody. I got to train with Carlson Gracie, senior. Wow. I got to train with Elio Gracie for many years, 17 years pretty much. Horian, just about every Gracie there is. I've trained with them all. Except Henzo only into the last few years. It's when I finally got to meet Henzo. And oh boy, is he special. But I feel very fortunate. I'm very happy for my 17 years there. I learned a lot of good stuff.
So what did you? So let's go back to we don't have to go too far back, but now you're using jiu-jitsu as a police officer in your day to day. How did that change the job for you?
Okay, well, I should note that I'm now under Tom DeBlas, professional Tom DeBlas, Ocean County, BJJ, in New Jersey. Tom. And I'm under Tom. I went under him a couple of years ago because I decided to, after I got my black belt, I was still there for a while, but I wanted to open my own academy. I had a vision that I wanted to open my own academy, and I wanted to do my own thing. And I was a defensive tactics instructor at the police academy also. And Miami-Dade Police Department is a 3,000-man department. So I was there for a while, and I was teaching a lot of cops, jiu-jitsu.
Officially, or like, hey, let's go to the gym and that's
no. I was teaching jiu-jitsu.
And how long was that from? Okay, you got it. You got into that fight with the, you took that beating, for lack of a better term, right? And then you start training jiu-jitsu. Yes. And then how long was it before you became
defensive
you started teaching other people? How many years is that? What's the?
I probably started teaching jiu-jitsu. Man, probably right when I was always helping out in the academy, but and anywhere where they needed, but I didn't go full throttle teaching until I was a black belt.
Okay.
But other than that, I was teaching at the police academy.
Okay.
All right. going back, I was already a black belt when I was teaching at the police academy. And that helped shape me to become a better instructor as well, and to reach out and open up my own academy. And I wanted to do my own route, so I broke away. And in peaceful terms, I just thank you very much. I did my 17 years. It's not like I got it for free,
Yeah.
So when did Trillo Academy open?
2010.
Okay.
That's when pretty much it started. But actually open 2014. But I started in 2010. The foundation started in 2010. And I started teaching. I was teaching out of a little place, a little gymnasium. And then when I had enough students there, moved to a bigger place. And now I'm at my main place where I'm at now. And I know soon it will happen. We're going to be moving to another one. I don't know the location.
And tell our listeners and viewers where Trillo Academy is.
Trillo Academy, Trillo JiuJitsu Academy is in. We are on Miami Gardens Drive, a block north of Miami Lakes. So pretty much on the northwest section of Miami-Dade.
Okay.
Right off of I-75 and Miami Gardens Drive. So yeah, and I've been there. So I started in 2014, and a few years later, I met Professor De Blas at a seminar at Black House on Miami Beach, and man, we hit it off. I really loved his approach to jiu-jitsu, his mindset, the killer mindset, the techniques and stuff. And
I don't personally know him, but I do read and follow him. We both do on Facebook and Instagram.
Henzo and Tom were at the seminar a couple years ago after the hurricanes that hit Maria. After Hurricane Maria, they did an event when Cyborg opened up the main Fight Sports
right,
HQ.
I remember that.
And they came in and they did it. Look, and for my experience with Tom, other than just being at that seminar, I watch a lot of the stuff that he puts online and
great
tutorials.
Content. Yeah.
And if he teaches, when you're in front of him, if he teaches anyway, like those videos, I mean, he's amazing. I mean, he goes through it, piece by piece, and that's the way I like to learn. Show me where I have to put my foot. Show me where I put my arm. Tell me why. I mean, I feel like he teaches like that, at least from the videos that I've seen. So
yes, he is.
Like an amazing instructor.
And he's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
He doesn't sugarcoat things.
Okay.
If you mess up, he will let you know.
That's what we need. Oh, boy. That's what we need.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started training with him that I really, really took off with my jiu-jitsu. Not just my personal, but the way I teach jiu-jitsu, my knowledge of jiu-jitsu. Because till then, I was based around the jiu-jitsu that I was taught, that I was originally taught, from the Valentes.
Okay.
And then when I stepped out of that environment and I started training with other jiu-jitsu people and Tom and going up to New York, New Jersey, training all the time up there, I was like, man, I felt like a white belt. I had to start pretty much. I had to fix a lot of things that I was doing that were not really necessarily. Things have evolved. Jiu-jitsu has evolved in many, many ways.
Was it speed and tempo based? Do you think that some of your older jiu-jitsu knowledge was slower paced, positional, where now it's more of it's an actual fight and you're moving forward and you have to pass and you have to position and then look for that submission? Is that a difference that you saw? Just, I would say, like now, Valentes are a different type of jiu-jitsu in comparison to some of the gyms that we see, which are very sport-oriented, that teach point-based systems, right?
Right.
So how did you take that, right, and use it for law enforcement to better protect? Because your style of jiu-jitsu is different, right? You're thinking like a cop, and you have a firearm. You need to protect that firearm. Or how do I get this guy into position? Because I've trained with you, and you showed us positions where you want to get this guy flat on his back and secure either his legs or his arms, so then you can go through the process of handcuffing him. So how did that system of the Freddy Trillo Jiu-Jitsu, if that's a name that I can give it, develop?
Well, I trained a lot. I think it's very important. I don't think I do anything that different. I think what I do is it once in a while, and this is something that everybody that's watching this should do. Once in a while, make your jiu-jitsu session a sparring session with strikes. Just do it once in a while. And that will very quickly balance you out and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't do it this way. Maybe I should do it this way, because if strikes are being thrown, this way that I'm doing it is not necessarily a better way. So it kind of equates you and balances you out, brings you back down to reality. So I do that a lot. Mm-hmm. I'll practice. I would say my jiu-jitsu is probably more MMA, looks more like an MMA coach.
Okay.
Than just a traditional jiu-jitsu coach.
So when you trained with the Valente brothers, was that more self-defense or was it more sport?
Oh, it was a lot more self-defense.
Okay.
They're a lot more self-defense. We're not going to make this a Valente.
No,
not at all.
We want to understand your
right.
What
they're mostly self-defense. Not necessarily the best, not even close to being the best at sport or any of that. They don't even claim to be that, and that's fine. They have their product, and that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
I felt that I got what
you needed.
I thought I needed, and I move on with it, like anything in life.
Yeah. Take the good.
So we got a question.
Take the good,
exactly, and you move on.
Yeah.
We have a question that it fits right into this. So we have Aaron Peter 93 on Instagram. When I posted for questions, he said, "How do you avoid becoming too sport centric in your jiu-jitsu while also progressing through the ranks?" And I think that you answered it.
I just answered it.
This was every once in a while throwing some gloves and throwing some strikes into your training. So what if you're at a gym though that you're saying that you're a black belt, you're a teacher, you own your own gym. What do you tell a guy who is in a sports-centric place? I mean, it's not so easy for us lower belts to just go to another gym. Sometimes maybe the coaches might not like that. But what do I do if my gym just isn't like that and it is a little bit more sports-centric? Do I don't want to find another gym, but what would be your advice there? I mean,
I would say that, you should be able to go talk to your instructor.
Okay.
And, maybe mention it to him. Hey, listen, I want to do a session where I could do some striking with my jiu-jitsu because I want to see if I'm really prepared for a street fight. Because, I want to make sure that everything I'm learning here actually is going to work for me out in I walk out of here and I get jumped. Mm. I don't see what instructor would give you a problem with that, know. I do it all the time. And you don't necessarily need to know the combatives that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu has. Many places don't even have the Gracie combatives.
Okay.
But I am quick to tell you, you don't really need the Gracie combatives. There's many places that don't have them, but they train all the time. So I tell people, well, what if I go to, they'll ask me, they don't teach what do you do when you get a bear hug? Okay, well, you spar, right? Yeah, I spar. You spar all the time, multiple partners. Don't they grab you in bear hugs in the middle of your spar? What do you do? Oh, I transition, I get out of it, and I overcome it. I go, it's the same thing. If we're talking about jiu-jitsu against non-jiu-jitsu, you're at Walmart and Walmart. You're at Walmart.
There goes Walmart. We were hitting up Walmart to be a sponsor. There it goes.
And you get some crazy dude that's never done jiu-jitsu a day in his life, bear hugs you. You think that you won't be able to get out. He's not even going to know how to properly secure you.
Sure. Yeah.
So getting out is not going to be a problem. So I tell those people, if wherever you train, if they have a good takedown program, whether it's wrestling, judo, or combined, if they have a good striking program, and if they have a good jiu-jitsu program, that's your self-defense.
Okay.
That's all you need.
Yeah. And it's like the basics of jiu-jitsu. I tell people, you just got to take these basics and start putting the pieces together. It's a puzzle, right?
That's it.
In your jiu-jitsu, do you just train gi? Or no-gi? Are you strictly no-gi, or do you do both? I saw you training in your uniform, in your police law enforcement uniform. I'm not sure what department. We didn't really go into. I don't know if you want to.
Miami-Dade Police.
Are now? Are you a reserve now?
Shout out to Miami-Dade Police.
Miami-Dade Police.
In case they pull us over. And currently, did you say you are a reserved police officer
Yes,
now?
I'm reserve.
Okay.
I'm retired from full time. I'm still part of the special response team. I did SWAT for many years. I did SWAT. I also worked for the city of Hialeah because rewind real quick. I only did a year in Opalaka, and then
But you said that was like 10, right?
yeah, I did my 10 years in Opalaka, and I was like, I'm out of here. So I went to city of Hialeah, and I did 10 years there, and then I moved over to the county, and I've been there ever since 2003 till present. I've been there.
And when you're training other police officers, you're training Miami-Dade
Now,
county police officers, or
for many years, I trained at the Miami-Dade Police Department only. Talk about a monumental task. Teaching jiu-jitsu to a 3,000-man department
wow.
when nobody knows jiu-jitsu.
So you're the only instructor.
And I'm the only instructor.
Wow.
When I tell you that I would have a classroom of 60 grown men. And it's like the Marine Corps. There's only one way to get you to believe in this. You got to get dirty with me. And I would have to roll with everybody.
Wow.
Most of the matches don't last past a few seconds. Again, it's jiu-jitsu against non-jiu-jitsu. And what a better example of the power of jiu-jitsu than that.
Sure.
Because everybody there outweighed me, outmuscled me, and I went down the line. Boom, boom. Now, wasn't to prove that Freddy Trillo was super. I wasn't super. I was very mortal like everybody else. It's that the techniques that I was using worked on everybody. Mm-hmm. So I did that in the county for several years, but then I also did it while I was working in the streets because I was part of a robbery task force where we went out on this is where I really got my meat and potatoes on what works and what doesn't work in police work, what jiu-jitsu works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Because back then we didn't have cameras. Nowadays I would probably get in trouble doing for the things that I was doing back then. Not that I was doing anything illegal, but because it was like, all right, Freddie, you know jiu-jitsu. You got 20-something miles of anybody bad that you arrest that wants to put up a fight, you can practice your jiu-jitsu on. Pretty much that's what I had. I had an open field. So, and I was part of a unit that all we did was go after violent subjects, guys that committed robberies, murders, whatever. And these guys don't want to go to jail.
So they're going to put up a little fight. And
they put up a little fight.
You got to test your martial art.
On a daily basis.
And fine-tune it. That's what I'm saying. You have specific... Your jiu-jitsu is fine-tuned around law enforcement to get this guy either down on the ground, handcuffed, get him in the back of the vehicle and gone, right?
I know what it is to have a resisting subject because I had many of them.
Exactly.
Hundreds of them. Probably thousands of them throughout the course of the year. But let me tell you, ever since I learned jiu-jitsu, I never, ever got hurt again. And I had a very high arrest rate, one of the highest in the departments, because that's what I was. I was a go-getter. Mm-hmm. When you arrest a lot of people, you get also a lot of complaints. I also had the highest, and I had one of the lowest use of force complaints, they call it, against me. Because I wasn't using jiu-jitsu to beat anybody up. Mm-hmm. I'd take people down. What's the easiest one? You take them down, you mount them. Man, I used to do some crazy stuff, bro. I'd mount these guys, and I'd sit there and look at them, and the look of fear in their eyes, just like I had the look of fear on that subject years ago, they had it on me, except I wasn't hitting them. And they were trying to push me off. And I look at them and I start talking to them. My partners would laugh their butts off. They wouldn't even get involved. They would sit back and watch. Let's watch what Freddy's going to do now. You want to find something funny? I don't know if I mentioned it when you took a class with me. I don't like teaching arm bars to cops. And I get amused whenever I see an instructor teaching arm bars to cops. I'm like, man, I understand the armbar is a submission in a Jiu-Jitsu Academy. In the street, number one, there is no submission.
Yeah.
The only submission out in the street is probably a rear, a stranglehold.
You're right.
But really, or a kimura hold, but there is no submissions in fighting. You put your leg over some guy in a street fight that you're trying to arrest. You don't know if this guy has AIDS, hepatitis,
Take a bite out of your
coronavirus now. You don't know what this guy has. And you're going to put your foot over his face. He's going to bite you.
Hard.
And now, whatever he has, you just taking that home to your family. But these guys that are teaching this, apparently they've never been either in a real fight or they just don't see what I see. Because I've been there. Man, I've seen some nasty heroin addicts, meth heads. I didn't even want to arrest these guys and put them in the backseat of my car, let alone put a leg over their face.
Freddie, so like a big part of what we do here at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies is education. Milton said this earlier, it's for the novice jiu-jitsu guy. But we're not talking about just kids. We're not talking about just, doctor, accountant that wants to come in, but for law enforcement, right? Regardless of how many years you've been doing law enforcement, regardless of how many years you've done SWAT, if you don't have some type of martial art that can help you on the street, then you're behind the curve, right?
And on the
You're
ground,
20
more specifically.
You're probably 20 years behind already.
So you would recommend, just like you took charge of your department's training program to teach jiu-jitsu, you'd recommend any law enforcement to take some type of combatives, not necessarily jiu-jitsu, but like you mentioned, it could be conditioning, it can be takedowns, it could be sparring, maybe even jiu-jitsu, right? Something. They need to take something.
Well, they have to have jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
I think we can all agree. They have to have jiu-jitsu. Nobody nowadays steps into any ring. I don't care how great you are at whatever style you're at. They all have one thing in common. They all have to know at least a little jiu-jitsu. Okay, you got to know it.
Yeah, agree.
And that should be the mandatory requirement for every law enforcement officer across the U.S.
So how did you get that in? So you became an instructor. Did you have to go to the department and pitch them and say, we need to be doing this and we need to be teaching this to everybody and I'm that guy? Did they recruit you? How did you start teaching other cops? How did you work your way into the academy?
Well, my one of my partners trained jiu-jitsu with me, and he had climbed up the brass, and he knew how I was, and he asked me, Fred, we can use your talent in the police academy, and and I went in. They brought me into the police academy, but I wasn't there very long, and the reason why I wasn't there very long is because once I was there, they still wanted me to teach state-mandated curriculum to the recruits.
Which had not been updated.
And I'm sorry, I refuse to do it. I cannot teach a cop something that I know does not work. It's garbage. And just because the state says I am required, I'm not going to do it. They had a problem with that.
Yeah, got a little pushback.
And they're like, well, we're going to have to get somebody else. I go, well, if you bring somebody in to teach what the state's supposed, then you don't need a black belt. You need a puppet to do whatever you're going to do. So, yeah, I didn't last there very long. But, man, it's come up. We're now in 2000. This is back in the early 2003. Now in 2020, now Miami-Dade has actually 2 black belt instructors teaching there. So I don't go there. I don't really teach at my department anymore because they're good friends of mine, and they don't need me. They got it.
They got it under control now.
They got it under control.
What percentage of police departments, do you know, well, in Florida, locally, or in the state of Florida or in the country, how many departments, percentage-wise, have adopted jiu-jitsu into their curriculum, into the police academy? Are we still behind?
I think we're still way behind.
Place, or is it?
Man, we've come a long way.
Okay,
but we're still behind.
Okay,
we're still behind. Right now, I work a lot with City of Miami. I teach a lot of seminars out there. Okay. I love going out there and teaching them. They're embracing jiu-jitsu. and we're starting to teach jiu-jitsu a lot more at the academy level. This is how you get, for anybody in law enforcement that wants to get to know how you get the whole department to change. I think I figured it out. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you can implement jiu-jitsu at the recruit level when they're brand new in the academy, just like the Marine Corps does when they're going through boot camp. If you start teaching them jiu-jitsu from day one, and then you start mandating that they keep doing it, and they do it for their entire 9 months. Let's say I have a student, the police academy on average, 6 to 9 months. If I teach that one student 1 hour of jiu-jitsu, let's say 1 hour of jiu-jitsu a day for 9 months, think of how good those officers are going to be. Think of the use of force levels, how they're going to drop in that police department.
Sure.
And that's key. That is absolutely key. You said it before, you're saying it now. That is key that people need to understand. If anybody's listening that doesn't know jiu-jitsu, is just getting into jiu-jitsu, this is about neutralizing the attack, not having to throw punches. As the law enforcement officer, you want to neutralize that attack, get him to the ground, get him, like you said before, get him, get the handcuffs on him, get him in the back of the car. This isn't about, at least for jiu-jitsu, at least our art, this isn't about beating the shit out of somebody. This isn't beating him into submission and then putting the cuffs on them. This is neutralizing the attack, putting him in a position where he's ineffective.
And you got to understand another mindset to this. If you have somebody that's never done any martial arts in their life, which is probably 90%,
a good percent of people,
of the officers that are becoming cops, and you give them a choice. Here's a baton, here's a taser, and then this is jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is not easy. We all agree. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is about being comfortable in the uncomfortable. And to some people, you got to drag them in there to learn that. But if you give a person a choice, they're going to take the impact weapons because it's so much easier for them. The problem that they fail to understand, if I take all your tools away, what do you have left? Mano a mano, hand on hand. Yeah. What do you got left? So that's where the jiu-jitsu, it's come a long way. Yes, most departments are starting to implement it. And again, if you started at the academy level and you get those recruits and they start learning jiu-jitsu, by the time they graduate, they have 9 months of jiu-jitsu training. Next academy class. That first class is now becoming supervisors. They're going up the rank. Within 20 years, you'll have the entire department with jiu-jitsu knowledge. That's how you change it.
There you go. Let me tell you how I don't know if and I'm sure I told Milton, but tell our viewers how I met Freddy. I think I just reached out to Freddy on Instagram. Because that's what I do, right? I want to learn as much as many
mayor
tools.
over there. He goes around to
I want
tools.
Great thing. Yeah. I want tools. I want to know what Freddy knows. If I get a chance to train with Tom DeBlas, I want to train with him. I want to know what he knows. We have Master Toko. I've gone to his academy before, and it's just I go on there
Master
very humble.
Toko, the man who put the black belt on Cyborg, right?
Yeah. Grandfather.
Yeah.
My jiu-jitsu grandfather.
Yeah.
But hey, and Freddy invited me to come into his law enforcement class. It was on a Friday. I showed up. There was probably 12, 15 guys there. Some were law enforcement, but the majority were law enforcement. Maybe one or two were not. They were just some of your regular students that might not have been law enforcement. But we trained for a good hour and a half, and the techniques, like I mentioned, that you showed are very specific to that. Very specific to.
And can I ask again? I'm not sure that you answered it before because I went to another question. Are you training all NoGi? Do you just teach gi, or do you teach gi as well? NoGi or gi?
Oh,
just in my own curiosity.
Me in the deep waters here.
Well,
I don't want to.
I have a question from a viewer. Once I get that answer, I'm going to ask this other question.
Boy.
It's not that bad, but it leads
brace
to this
yourself.
Uh-oh. Hit us. Go ahead. Do it.
I would say the first 17, 19 years of my jiu-jitsu was all straight gi.
Okay.
I still have a gi class because there's an element of society. There's some students that like the gi class. So I can teach the gi class and I do a pretty good job of teaching it, but
19 years. I mean, 19 years.
But I'll be honest with you, it's my love right now, my focus 100% is no gi. Because, and I can only speak from my experience, all the controls, all the subjects I arrested, all the guys that put up struggles,
None of them had a gi on.
none of them had a gi on. And you know, I used to hear this all the time, and I just don't agree with it. Oh, what if he has a shirt and you want to do a choke with the shirt, or what if he's choking you out with a? Are we talking about a street guy that doesn't know any jiu-jitsu trying to choke me out with my own shirt?
Yeah.
He's gonna get that close to me? He's mine. I own him if he gets that close to me. I don't care if he grabs me. I'll walk in
That's
with
what
a
we need,
collar.
right? For jiu-jitsu.
Grab
that's what
me.
you need. Space
Exactly.
Space is bad for jiu-jitsu.
So the gi training, believe it or not, okay, the movements in gi training and no gi are kind of similar. You know, jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. The grips are much different. With the gi, you're grabbing a lot of gi. With no gi, it's more body control. And I found that a lot more useful, especially when you're dealing with somebody that you're trying to arrest. And let me tell you, man, when these guys commit a crime, they ran a couple blocks or something, that sweat develops like a little oily, slippery grip. And it's not easy to grab somebody. Mm-hmm. So your grips have to be really locked on. So I found that the no-gi training was a better preparation for me, for law enforcement, than the gi training. I am not going to say that if you're only training the gi that you're not well prepared. Of course you are. I'm just saying that one, in my opinion, has more
Practical use.
applications for real work than the other.
So now this goes to my question. Simple question. It's nothing crazy. So how do promotions work? So we had, it's actually, I don't know. Do you know Tony Mello? Tony sent us a question. I know
My man Tony,
Drew
Dominicano.
mentioned him Drew mentioned him on the last show, and he's been following us, and he threw us this question. He said, "Would you promote a student who doesn't train in a gi?"
No.
Okay, and so is there a promotion system for just a straight no gi environment?
Okay. I'm saying no now. 10 years from now, that may change.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, it may change. I mean, Eddie Bravo has his own system. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
But those guys that reach black belt level under his system, there's no denying that those guys are not good. Those guys are really, really good.
Yeah.
So there is a hierarchy of learning when you get to black belt and he awards you that black belt. Could I probably do the same thing? Yes, I'm sure I could. I don't have it that way.
Okay.
I think that if you are a good jiu-jitsu instructor, you should be able to teach both. You should be able, or a practitioner of the art, you should be good with both. You know, I show up to a place and they tell me, today, Freddie, it's all gi training. Let's put on a gi.
Let's do it.
No gi. Let's take off the gi. You should be good at both.
Very true. Very true.
They're both completely different in their approach. They're on the same street. It's very different in their approach, but you should be good at both. And in my system, I like to know that if you're representing my flag, that my guys, they could wear a gi or they could wear it without a gi, and they're going to be functional. So right now, no, if you tell me you just want to do no gi, then I would refer you to another academy that perhaps that's all they do.
Okay. So your guys in your academy, they are doing both.
They all do
okay,
both.
So there's not you're not in a situation where, okay, do you have a guy that just comes to the no gi classes and then he's expected to do the gi? There's an expectation amongst your students.
Well, like I have some of my purple belts, a lot of them like my they did my gi classes. Mm-hmm. They'll do them here and there. I have another guy teaching my gi classes. I don't always teach my gi classes because now I got it where I can hire people to teach my classes. So I don't have to teach all my classes anymore.
Shameless plug for Freddy doing jiu-jitsu for 19 years.
Exactly.
You earned that.
So now all I do, man, is I study. I travel to New York all the time. I train with Professor De Blas. I train a lot at I go up to the Blue Basement. I train a lot there. I've surrounded myself with the absolute best minds, in my opinion, at jiu-jitsu, in particular the no-gi. and that's what my focus has been on.
Okay.
So I have a few students that love taking most of my classes, and they'll still do a gi class here and there, but that's it. They did a few years in the gi class, and they're just moving on. We're moving on.
So we have another question here. This is Ray of Flight 3567 again on Instagram. He wrote a lot here, so let me see if I can get through this. But basically, this is talking about jiu-jitsu for teachers and keeping students safe. So let's. I'm going to read this real quick. I'm a teacher, and I've had to stop fights. The fights get more dangerous with middle school and high school students. One specific fight took 5 adults and 3 police officers to stop. By the time the second police officer came, the child had suffered substantial damage, and the school failed to keep him safe. I was only a substitute that day, but see the need for law enforcement to teach teachers how to properly stop a fight and protect students. Is there a way to set that up? Like, is there a program that exists? What you just described for law enforcement, is there something for teachers? So that's question number 1. Is there a curriculum that schools could implement that would help stop bullying? I think the answer is yes. I'll let you, I know that there's stuff out there. Schools are hesitant to implement grappling sports like BJJ in schools, but wish that a school would pilot a bully-proof curriculum like the Gracies that can show through data that teaching self-defense protects children. Okay, so that's a full stop there. So let's go with the first part, the first question. Is there a way for teachers to set that up, or is there anything out there? And would you recommend the type of law enforcement jiu-jitsu that you're teaching for teachers?
Okay, that question there has
There's a lot of
several
parts.
department.
That's loaded question.
That's
Cheese and bacon,
tough,
sour
that's a
cream on
tough
that,
one
baby.
because you're asking, does the school system have a program in place to teach jiu-jitsu? No. Do the teachers have a program among themselves? No. Do the officers have a program among themselves? Maybe,
Depending on where
maybe
you
not.
are, probably not. I mean,
And or a
I
program
shouldn't
that
say
they're
probably,
teaching.
they may not.
Or that the law enforcement has a program that they're teaching teachers.
Yeah.
Right.
Because she's asking if law enforcement should be responsible to teach.
Right.
I don't think it should be the school, right? They should have a curriculum in place.
Okay, let's let me address it in a different way, and I think it will make more sense. And help put them all together. You're starting to see more situations. You're starting to see more videos of fights in school. Jiu-jitsu's involved.
World Star. Yeah, that's what
MMA
you
is involved. They're not necessarily a jiu-jitsu school. Some of them may go to what they call MMA school, or they practice UFC.
I love that one. I train UFC.
Hey, I train UFC, man.
My favorite.
Oh God,
Really?
please.
Come train.
The moment they say that, anyways, you're starting to see that more on social media because more people are training jiu-jitsu. By far, more people are training, more citizens are training jiu-jitsu than law enforcement are, by far. Okay? But there are some teachers that are training jiu-jitsu. I actually have a couple of teachers that are training jiu-jitsu with me. One used to train with me, just switched over to fight sports because she moved up here and it was a little too far, and she's training with Professor the one you just mentioned,
Master Toko.
Master Toko.
Yeah.
She's training there with him.
And Davey.
Yes,
That's where his academy is.
I built her up from white belt all the way to purple.
Awesome.
Try to mess with that school teacher. Try to mess with her.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't want to throw her out there, but she's a badass. And I have another one that she's a badass also. They know more jiu-jitsu than any cop that works in the school system that they work at, by far.
Really?
But these are people that they see that there's a need for jiu-jitsu, and they went out of their way to get their own training to get better.
That's the first part of that is that answers the first part of the question. You may have to seek it out yourself.
You
and
have
not
to
wait
do
for,
it yourself.
Not wait for the school. And almost what you said before, like with law enforcement, if you start teaching the guys now, they move up and then they start teaching. I think it's almost like, same situation. If this teacher learns and shows in a fight situation that she can handle herself,
Yeah.
then other teachers are going to say, "How'd you do that? Let's talk about this." And I think just by sheer numbers is how you kind of change things.
Yeah.
I think much more difficult in the school system than in law enforcement.
Well, you're starting to see it in law enforcement as well. Matter of fact, the other day, City of Miami had an incident where it came out in the news where they had to arrest an MMA fighter.
Okay.
And it took like six,
Really?
7 cops just to control one guy. Now you're saying, well, this guy must have been a beast. No, it's not that he was a beast. He's not really that big of a guy. I'm not going to say his name. I need to glorify him. But it was that those 6 officers, it was only one that really knew how to control him. Nobody else knew how to control him because nobody else was training jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
So when you have 6 guys trying to control a jiu-jitsu guy,
Somebody who knows what they're doing.
that's a black belt,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's not going to be easy for them. Because how do you grab? Because he's used to. He's used. Goes back to my self-defense.
Yes.
This guy, and I'm quite sure this jiu-jitsu guy was never taught the Gracie combatives, but he's a jiu-jitsu guy and he knows how to get out of all these grips.
You know, it's not just applicable to law enforcement, first responders, but you also have medical. You have
Yes.
fire. These guys are put in
First
positions
responders.
with first. Any first responders should know, right? Just like teachers, they have to make the effort to go out there, like you're saying, and seek out that knowledge for themselves. You're putting yourself. You could be in a position you never know. And again, with all the things that have happened in the school systems, hey, protecting your kids is definitely one thing that you should be considering, right?
I had a student who's 14 years old, and I'm not sure if you were there one day. It was probably not. It was a day where I had a few officers, and I didn't tell them the kid's age, and I put all the officers to train with my 14-year-old, and he's not a big kid. He's a little kid. He went down the line, up, submitted everybody, and I could see the cops scratching their heads, and I said, "You guys see him? He's 14. Their jaws dropped." You will never know.
Humbling experience.
You will never know, especially now, 2020. This is not about my kid being tough. There's many, hundreds, thousands of these kids that are training in various academies.
For sure.
You don't know who you're stopping.
Yeah.
That one kid could get behind you and it's over for you.
Very true. Very true. And we saw some high-level kids last night at the Substars event.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. So
Jacob the Bull.
Did great out there.
I mentioned him again.
These kids are monsters, man. I wish we knew this when we were kids.
Yeah.
So that's what we're starting to see nowadays. Law enforcement is slowly, but they're still behind.
Yeah.
And they will always be behind. So it's up to the officer. It's up to you, the teacher, the officer. My question to you is, how much is your life worth? Oh, I got overtime. I got to work 12 hours. I got a family to feed. I got to go home. I don't have time. Well, who's going to make time to take care of your family when you're gone? Because you decided not to make time to train yourself properly.
And by extension, you could say the same thing to parents.
Yeah.
If you had a pool in your backyard, you teach your children how to swim.
Of course.
Right. You're sending them out there into a jungle every day. Let's face it, these schools, are that, especially down here in South Florida, a little crazy. I hear, I have a 16-year-old, she's about to turn 16 in the high school over here. I won't mention the high school, but, I'm always hearing about the fights. And, this got broken up today. She doesn't do jiu-jitsu. I wish she would. I wish she would learn. But it's the parents' responsibility to get them at a young age. You got to get them young. It's like teaching another language. You got to get them while they're young. It gets more difficult as they
get to their teens. Excuse me. As they get to their teens, it's very hard. I have several hundred students, and I know firsthand when a parent brings me like a young girl and she's 15, 16 years old, she doesn't want to be there. Daddy or mom's bringing her there. So now she's there. She's obligated. They only last so often, so long, because they end up. You got to bring him at a young age, and when you bring him at a young age, you're gonna have those times where little Jimmy is not gonna want to do it. But guess what? Jimmy's gonna have to do it for at least a year or something. You gotta commit them to doing it because kids don't know.
Yeah,
a jiu-jitsu education is just as important as an education you receive in school. That school, it prepares you to get a job. This education can prepare you to save your life. And how many examples do we have to keep putting up there? And everybody thinks that it can't happen to them. everybody that's been a victim thought
Sure, always.
it would not happen to them. They thought it couldn't happen to them.
There's a great video that the Gracies did. Heat-On and Henner did a video with a black belt, a young black belt who was coaching in their school. And he talked about how his father made him go to jiu-jitsu. I think there's that age between probably when you start discovering girls, like 12 to 16, even 18, maybe even 18 now, because of video games and girls and phones. And his father would make him go to jiu-jitsu. I'm actually going to try to dig out that video, and I'm going to put it in the comment section, in the description on this video on YouTube. And they talked about his father tricked him into saying, okay, I want you to train, but if you don't want to train, you need to tell me 2 days in advance that you don't want to go to the school, that you don't want to go to training. Well, a kid doesn't know 2 days in advance, right? He's not thinking 2 days, right? You're thinking in the moment, what am I doing now? So if the day before, the morning of, he said he didn't want to go to jiu-jitsu, or it was time to go to jiu-jitsu and he didn't want to go, we had a deal. You were supposed to give me 2 days notice. And now he's a black belt under the Gracies. And I hope I'm doing the video justice, but I'm going to
probably
apply
not.
that.
You're probably
I think
not
I'm doing the
doing
video justice. But I thought that was a great example. And I watched that as a white belt and a blue belt early on at my first school. I was helping coaching. I was coaching the kids' classes. And I did tell the parents about that. There's going to come a time where you've got to kind of force them. I wish my parents made me stay in karate when I was a kid and play football and soccer and all the things that I quit. You know, and I now, you know, there wasn't, we did talk about this on the last episode, that there wasn't a lot of like discussion of mindset. I'm going to be 47. When I was in my teens and I was playing sports, if you wanted to quit, my parents let me quit. It's up to you. You don't want to go, you don't want to go. I really wish there was they had pushed me more. And I don't put it on them, but if somebody would have pushed me and made me go, I would, you know, be a different person, a different athlete. I would, you know, I did gymnastics, karate, football, soccer.
Were you a male
Soccer was my
cheerleader?
thing.
Were you a male cheerleader?
No, I was not. But I did a lot of sports, and I didn't, you know, I always quit, and then I found girls, and I wanted to work, and I fell into that trap.
Freddie, do you have a Trillo Academy, Miami Gardens, right?
Yes.
You guys have a kids program there?
Yes. Huge.
What do you start? Where do you start?
What age?
Recommended
do you start, first of
age
all?
for kids?
Yeah.
Every kid's different.
Sure.
I usually start them around 4. I've had, with very few exceptions, 3-year-olds.
Okay.
And then I've had some 4-year-olds that weren't ready. We've all had 5 or 6-year-olds that were like, oh my, they're not ready.
Concentrate.
But I would say the biggest obstacle is the parent. And it goes back to what you said. If the parent is lazy in their way of thinking, oh, Jimmy doesn't want to do it anymore. He wants to do tennis now. So we're going to put him in tennis. And then he'll do tennis. Sorry, I go into my skits.
We lost all of our tennis playing fan.
And then I go, Mom and Dad, if you allow little Jimmy
To make decisions.
You're setting him up for failure. He is not finishing anything that you start.
Yeah.
Give him a timeline. Jimmy, you want to do tennis? Not a problem. We'll put you in tennis. But you're going to give me 6 months, or whatever the time frame it is. You're going to give me 6 months of this. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I'll do it. He's committed. Lock him in.
Yeah.
And stay true to your word. And that there is a lesson in teaching them how to finish everything that they start.
Get that on video. Take the iPhone out and say we have an agreement.
It's just ridiculous, man. It drives me insane. Some of these
talking about my parents letting me letting me quit stuff. Just want to give a shout out to my dad. His birthday's tomorrow. He'll be 75.
Happy birthday!
He doesn't know by the time he sees this, we'll have had the party.
Birthday.
There's a surprise birthday party tonight for his 75th birthday.
Nice.
Shout out to my pops,
Shout-outs.
who was in law enforcement for over 20 years. He was an NYPD cop, but actually New York City Transit Police Department before they merged. And now it's just NYPD for those of you who don't know, but he retired from the Transit Police Department.
Hey, not to mention, let's give a
huge shout out.
belated birthday.
Wait, hold on. Let me say, always super proud to this day to mention that my dad was a cop. If I can work that into a conversation, I'm always so proud of him.
Yeah.
Should be.
He worked, he was part of, when he retired, they had something called the Brooklyn Queens Task Force. it had also been known as the Decoy Squad. If anybody's ever seen Money Train with J-Lo and who's the
I'll go watch it just for that.
man, J-Lo, Woody Harrelson, they were in that movie where it was like a cop would plainclothes officer would pretend that he was drunk. Maybe they'd have fake jewelry. He used to bring me fake jewelry all the time, and then somebody would rob them. They'd record it, and they'd be traveling on the trains. They would just stay on the trains, go to different stations.
Sounds like fun,
right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Jiu-Jitsu.
When he became a sergeant and joined that squad. And they were doing a story on them. I believe it's either 60 Minutes or 2020. So he wasn't in the story because he kind of came into the department as they were, already filming, and they were getting in trouble for what people were suing the department for entrapment. So they went from the Decoy Squad, they called it the Decoy Squad, and they renamed it the Brooklyn Queens Task Force, and they never stopped it. They got in trouble. They were supposed to stop it. They never stopped. So they would travel from Brooklyn and Queens, and they'd be in a van, go to different stations, go down to the subway. And so always super proud of my dad. And it's one of the reasons why we started a foundation, the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies Foundation, where we're raising money to pay for 1 full year of jiu-jitsu training for a veteran, a first responder, so police, fire, medics, EMS, right? And children in need. So we're working on that now. We started a GoFundMe. We've been raising some money. It's doing pretty well. So that's out there. That's in the comment section. The link is in the comment section. We'll have it on screen as well.
We had some guys do a video for that, right?
Yeah. Junior and I did a good GoFundMe video, which Bo cut together. So that's out there, guys. So please support. So again, I wanted to give my dad that shout out. I'm going to go through a little bit of housekeeping, but we're not done, Freddie. So
wait.
Go
Shout
ahead.
out, man. Belated birthday. Belated birthday. Freddie Trillo,
Freddie,
man.
I'm sorry, man. Freddie,
What are you
that's right.
talking
It was your
about?
birthday yesterday, right?
You spent the day with Freddie at Substars watching some fights.
I mean,
we had a good time. Thank you for joining us.
Who knew 48 looked this good, Freddie?
Yeah. 35. No, I'm just kidding.
So happy belated birthday.
I'm up there,
birthday.
but listen, I feel good, man. I no shame. I'm 52, and I feel good. But it's because more than just a jiu-jitsu, I eat well, I exercise, I maintain a healthy lifestyle, and yeah, I train jiu-jitsu just about every day. And when I say every day, I don't mean I go out there and I bust my, get beat up every day, but just a little training every day goes a long way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Even if it's just a light roll, even with a white belt.
How do you feel about your students watching videos? We talk about this a lot. I'm curious. What
videos?
Jiu-jitsu videos online, going to look for moves themselves.
Awesome.
Right, good?
Yes, absolutely.
And you put out a bunch of videos. What's your YouTube channel?
Trillo JiuJitsu Academy. I have a lot of videos. But, man, these videos that they're putting out there, BJJ Fanatics is putting out some, in my opinion, the absolute best instructionals on whatever you want.
I mean, that Henzo Gracie crew they've all got videos. As a matter of fact,
they're not just them, others.
No, I know they go across the board. They get the best of the best in very
Marcelo
specific
just
techniques.
came out with one.
I saw that today. I saw him.
That's amazing, bro. And let me tell you something, guys. These guys aren't just people think there's secret jiu-jitsu. No. What they're putting on these videos, and this is a shout out to, I guess, to BJJ Fanatics or whatever. But what they're putting what they're putting out there is what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
Last night when we saw Gordon Ryan, and not only did I see it in Gordon's, I saw it in Ethan's, Nick Rod, Natalia, little Nikki Ryan. I saw them all doing stuff that they teach, all of them. And I think it was you or the guy that was sitting next to me.
Talking about their
forgot the guy's name that was sitting next to me.
Ricardo.
I was looking at, because I study these videos like nonstop. It's all I do all day. I watch these videos and I was telling him, okay, you see what he's doing now? Now he's going to do this. Now he's going to do that. Now, and it's like one step. Everything I saw in those videos, they were doing.
And I think you made the comment, and maybe we made it as a group. I believe you made the comment how effortless it looked, because they drill it, because it's second nature to them. That it was kind of and again I think you said something along the lines like it's a trap there. He set it up.
It's a trap system.
Yeah. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. You're fighting it, and you're falling right into every one of the little traps.
It's combinations, and I'm not on the inside of that crew. Mm-hmm. I'm just Freddy Trillo here in Miami, Florida, but I can see it, and I studied it enough to know. We've been doing jiu-jitsu for many years, and I can see
it coming.
I can see the pattern. I see that they have a step, a combination of steps to follow-ups for everything. They do this, you do this, they do this, you do this, they do this. And so you're always steps behind.
Yeah, one or two.
They're always ahead of you.
One of the, again, made this comment last night, I'll say it here. One of the best Joe Rogan podcasts is the breakdown of the fight between Gordon Ryan and Roberto Cyborg by Danaher. By Danaher. Watch that. If you dig that out, you can just, there's cuts of that video where he just analyzes that tape, and he's going, stop, rewind, look at where his foot is, look what he's doing. I mean, it's exactly that. They show you how it's just a trap, and you fall into it every time. Every one of those guys fell into those traps last night, man.
Yeah, it was a good show.
That was a good show. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Let me get just some housekeeping out of the way. But we got some more questions for you. We do a little round, a speed round of questions. So let's just get some housekeeping out of the way. Some of our stuff here. We talk a lot about the stuff that we're giving away, the artwork that we've given away. This is going to go out this week to James Fisher.
Diane, that's one of our.
This is Diane.
Yes, Diane.
Diane Portwood. She's
Beautiful.
an artist. She trains with Drew, who's the director of operations for Substars. He introduced her to us. She came on the show. She donated this for our Patreon podcast patron program, which you can go to patreon.com/Jiu-Jitsu Dummies to join. You could support us with as little as $5 a month, and you're entered to win really cool stuff like this, the gis, care packages, all the stuff that you see on the tables, all stuff that goes into the hands of our listeners and our podcast patrons. But the patrons are entered to win at least $100 worth of gear, what you see here, or a gift card to the jiu-jitsu-dummies.shop, jiu-jitsu-dummies.shop, which you can also find on jiu-jitsu-dummies.com. Just hit the shop tab. So every single month we're giving away swag. This month we gave away 5 tickets to Substars. Thank you to Alex and Drew for letting us give that away. We gave away 5 tickets to general admission tickets last night to the event, and that went to Roberto Santiago, who is one of our podcast patrons, Damian Soto, Chuck Reddoor, CJ Carroll, Mission 22, James Fisher, all podcast patrons, all people who help support the show.
Thank you guys so much.
Huge shout out. But get in on that program, man. I'm telling you, I mean, for $5 to pretend, every one of those guys has won something well over $100. She sells this artwork. I think she said for this piece is $150. Yeah. This is there's a larger version of this, and then she does what do you call it? Like a print, a smaller print. Again, and you will give away all the swag that you see up here from Flow Kimono as well. But get on patreon.com and just search us out. Let's also talk about the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies Foundation. We just mentioned that. You can find it on IG at the JJD Foundation, on Twitter at the JJ Dummies FDN. Gets all confusing with all these crazy names. The GoFundMe's in the description here. And hopefully we'll be giving away our first scholarship in the next couple of months. We've raised a little bit of money there, and it's going to go to a good cause. Okay. Shout out to Fightback CBD. Code JJD, 15% off at fightbackcbd.com.
They got some new products out there. Go to their website, check them out.
Yes, very, very cool. He has like a
bigger bottle,
a larger dosage of actual CBD. So go check that out. Again, podcast store, jiu-jitsu-dummies.shop. Get 10% off with Dummies Pod 14 with code Dummies Pod 14. And shout out to PowerXCore _LLC on Instagram. Thank you for the care package. We're going to continue to give this stuff away that you see on the table. We've got the triple threat, and we've got the power shield. I use the power shield after training, spray it on my hands, my arms, my face.
Start glistening.
Shiny.
Start glistening.
They take video of me. We put on slow-mo on the internet. When
hey, show them those kimono grips, man. We're testing these things out.
Big shout out to... I reached out to the guy at Kimono Grips. Forgive me, I don't remember his name, but we spoke through Instagram. This is a really cool setup where you can train your grips. Now it's kind of funny, and we're going to do a little test, and you and I are both going to kind of come back on and do a little review.
For sure.
I just got it yesterday, so I haven't even used it yet. Just got it last night. It was funny because I'm talking to him on Instagram, and he's like, "Didn't I send you one already?" And I said, "No, man. No. I just." I'd love to get one, and he hooked me up.
Must think our dummies are both. We're both the same.
I think he thought we were pulling a fast one because it turned out that you won one of these.
I did
in one of the contests they did on Instagram, and we didn't know. We didn't discuss it. So what I'm going to ask of you is to go, check this out. I don't know if you want to check that out. See what you
like
think
it.
Of it.
Yeah, talked about improving grips.
We're gonna both test it out, come back, we'll talk about it a little bit. Maybe you take some video in the
for sure.
gym if you can.
Definitely helps my NoGi grip.
Yeah, right. So so we're gonna test that out,
No, but it
and
will.
we're gonna come back,
Absolutely.
and I promised him that
Awesome.
we'd give him our feedback on the show. So okay, so those are all our shout outs and our housekeeping. Freddie, do you have anybody that you want to give a shout out to? Sponsors, anybody you work with, cool student, anybody got anything going on? This is the time.
Well, you know, I teach at my academy. I also teach part-time at the Goat Shed. I don't know if you guys heard of that.
Yes, we've seen some interesting posting from them in the very recent past. I don't know if we want to get into that. I don't think we do.
I don't want to get into that. That has
Go
to
check
do,
them out.
That has to do with Asim, Goat Shed, and whoever else.
Okay,
It doesn't do with me.
We'll just say go on Instagram, and I don't know the exact handle, but search for Goat Shed and
Goat
just check
Shed
out some of the
Academy, right?
videos.
No, he's got a good thing going on
Yeah.
there. He's got a good academy.
Yeah.
It's like a fight school.
Yeah.
But I go in there and I'll teach a jiu-jitsu class every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m.
What's that owner's name over there?
Asim?
Asim.
You-
I stopped
you
by.
stopped by, right?
Yeah, I stopped by, but I just stopped by at a random time. I'm not sure what I was doing. I was coming back from the beach or something. I stopped, poked
Yeah,
my
I
head
saw
in
a
there.
picture.
Yeah, I poked my head in there. Happened to catch one of his fighters was in there. Trains at Wagner's as well, Danny.
Yes.
But Asim wasn't there, man. So I'll definitely stop by again and try to.
It's got a lot of
jump in the
fighters
class.
there, man.
Yeah.
A lot of UFC guys stop by. And,
But a good looking location, man.
oh, man.
Yeah.
He's killing it.
Nice
there, man.
mats, nice cage.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else you want to shout out?
My instructor, Professor Tom DeBlas. You know,
Very
I'm
cool.
out here.
Tom,
My academy.
Let's go. Let's get you on the show, Tom.
My academy
Set that up, Freddie.
My academy is an affiliate of his.
Yes.
So I know that I'm also part of was it BJJ Surf? Those guys, they Globetrotters or something. I'm part of
BJJ
some
Globetrotters is
Globetrotters.
a thing, yeah.
Where I'm part of that. Where if anybody's in that group, they can come train. If
Nice.
they're in Miami, come train.
Awesome.
You know, every Friday 9 a.m. I have a regular jiu-jitsu class, but it's open for any law enforcement. Anybody that's in law enforcement that wants to come in and try
Okay.
out the class,
That's very
they're
cool.
welcome to come try out a class with me. You know, sometimes I switch it up, man. Some days I'll do weapons defense. Some days I'll do sport jiu-jitsu. Some days I do street jiu-jitsu.
I actually you mentioned that the other day that I believe when you were talking about that he teaches self-defense and
Yes.
protecting your firearm.
Yes.
I am new to the concealed carry. Again, the son of a police officer, never touched a gun until I was in my early 40s. As my first BJJ coach actually took me. I think it was the first time I ever fired a gun, and have since gotten my license. But that definitely interests me. So hopefully, maybe I can reach out and come down and
Yeah.
maybe get in some training.
I've learned. I've put in the stuff that I learned. When I was when I was at the police academy teaching, we used to the training unit there, the training site itself used to be shared with U.S. Southern Command, Southcom or something, which is
Okay.
in Doral.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of military guys coming by, and a lot of special ops guys, not just regular, but the special
Yep.
forces guys from different units. And I got to train, I got to take a lot of, I would walk in on their classes inside hey, can I join in with you guys? Yeah, man, join in. So I love training with the Israelis in the Krav Maga.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
Some serious
Okay,
dudes right
not
there.
every technique that they teach I like, but that's like anything.
Sure.
But their mindset, I was like, I like these guys. I'm going to take you out. You see him right there? I love that mindset, man. I'm a SWAT guy. I love that.
Yeah.
So I picked up a lot of my handgun retentions is from them. I picked up a lot of it from them. And then I mix in, you take a little bit from everywhere. Like we mentioned earlier in the podcast.
Bruce Lee, take
you
what's
take
useful.
what you, Bruce Lee was on point, man. That guy was brilliant. He take what you feel you want, you feel that you can use, and then go with it
And get rid
move
of
forward.
what doesn't work for you.
Of course,
that-
every art was great for what they were created for.
Yeah.
So
So one thing that we didn't do, let's quickly go over what'd you think of the Substars event? We didn't really talk too much about it. Overall, the experience, good show. Did you
Yeah,
like
man.
the show?
I thought it was great.
I like the way they put it on, Freddie.
It's man, they always put on a good show. I love the fact that they're doing these more. I've noticed it more and more. Alex is one of the main guys, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Him
he's the owner and founder. Yeah,
Man, what Alex is doing is amazing.
Yeah.
A Marine, I believe. He's
Correct.
a Marine.
Yeah,
He was on our last show, episode 13.
He's awesome. I really like him, man. He seems like a really, really nice guy.
I stepped out during the sumo. I stepped out right before, so I didn't watch it. Thoughts on the sumo portion?
Okay.
Honestly, it's okay.
I'll be honest with
feedback.
you. It was a learning. Those guys are really, 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 really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And that rule set, you could bring any wrestler in there and they won't do too well under that rule set because it's different. Unless you study that rule
Correct.
set,
Yeah.
Correct.
it's different.
Alex talked about, he felt like, and I guess that he has a sponsor that is, I believe, a former NFL player. He felt like that defensive tackle style, hand movement.
That is true.
It was a good fit for that. I don't think it worked out. They walked into this UFC, whatever. I don't think they did anything with the UFC, but with these specific fighters, and it was a good fit. I didn't see it, so I can't really comment on it. I think most people said it was kind of funny when they fought the UFC guys,
right?
And then you really got to see the two sumo guys go head to head, which again I didn't see. But I think at one point the big guy picked up Anthony Rumble Johnson and actually physically put him out of bounds.
So I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't think it was fair. Like I didn't get much out of it watching the real sumo guys against our athletes, from our sport.
Yeah.
I don't think that was fair, and that wasn't really entertaining to me.
Yeah.
I would have been more entertained in actually watching the two sumo guys
Do the sumo
going
thing.
the sumo thing because they were freaking.
So
rocking
maybe
it,
so your advice might be like, hey, listen, get 4 sumo guys next time. Don't
make
the celebrity side was good. I think the overall feedback that I got from people that were talking about it was like it was they liked it.
Yeah,
and it was funny.
It was different,
and it did accomplish, and hopefully it does continue to accomplish what Alice wanted to accomplish, which was to get a different set of eyeballs, maybe coming to a jiu-jitsu event, and almost for that boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife of the fighter, of somebody who trains jiu-jitsu. Like if I brought my wife, she might be entertained more by the sumo than watching the jiu-jitsu because she doesn't understand it. When they go to the ground, what are these guys doing? They're laying on top of each other. This isn't fun. Yeah. I think a non-jiu-jitsu person has that perspective on it. My dad, huge boxing fan. He is getting into the UFC now. He's getting into MMA more and more. And he's
getting into the UFC.
He's getting into the UFC. He's not getting physically. Every time they go to the ground, and he's like, man, why are these guys laying on top of each other? And I'm sitting there like, you don't even know what, if you really understood what's going on there and the
setting
talent.
A trap, Dad. He's setting a trap.
The talent but guys like that might be more entertained by the sumo and give them a reason to come out. So I think he's going to continue to kind of play with that a little bit.
I liked it.
I do, yeah.
I like
Overall,
the old martial art thing, the samurai, the drums.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
But yes, it would have made it more, I would have been more, when I was looking forward to watching the two actual sumo guys going at it more than and I think Anthony Rumble Johnson, he spoke very well, and what he said in that show was amazing. Let's not laugh at this. This is their lifestyle. This is what they do. This is their part of their culture.
Sure.
So none of this is really funny for them. This is their lives, and that's respected a little bit. And I think he was dead on point, and I'm so happy, Anthony. I really love that you said that. I love that.
I think again, I think I'm going to get the pay-per-view just to watch everything and see the fights that I miss, including the sumo. But that might be a good suggestion. Like, hey, just bring in a bunch of sumo guys.
Yeah,
that's it.
I get the celebrity side and getting the names on the card, but I think some of those guys could have actually done jiu-jitsu. Could have actually competed against each other.
That little
in
guy,
jiu-jitsu.
Takashi,
I believe.
Dude, that guy's base. Incredible base. I'm not saying they can transition to fighting. That's a whole other level. But the base itself, listen, that's the first time I saw it. I'm sure it was the first time you guys saw it.
It was the first for me too.
I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah.
But like you said, I would have rather have seen the two sumo guys, more of that. Maybe put 4 guys and down to 2 because they were pretty fast matches.
Notable fights? Anything that stood out to you?
No, I thought they were all great.
Yeah.
I thought Lovato fight was awesome with Cyborg. That was a great fight at the end. To finish that up, Gordon Ryan, awesome fight. Jacob the Bull did amazing.
Jacob the Bull
Came in from California.
Yeah,
Great job.
That kid, white on rice. I told you guys, he gets on his guy, man, and he's just like, he doesn't let go. He's relentless.
Wagner's fight, I enjoy the way he fights. Very aggressive.
Wagner's
very
a beast,
get the
man.
business
Any
done.
standouts to you? Any standout fights?
I love watching Wagner. I've actually trained with him a few times, and he's really good. I love his mindset too. He goes at you. You know? So I love watching him, and of course Gordon. I mean, there's no denying. He just makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
But what people don't understand is the amount of hours that he puts in.
Yeah.
He does what most people won't do so that he can get the results that most people won't ever have.
For
Again,
sure.
I think the word I'd use for him is effortless.
Yes.
He makes it look effortless. Like
But
I saw
all
a
of
post this
them.
morning. He was like, easy money.
They go in there. I mean, the commute from Jersey to New York in the early stages, when he was just going up, him, Gary, his brother Ryan. I mean, dude, you're talking about a 2-hour commute. They would have to wake up like at 5 a.m. or something like that just to make it to New York City. Yeah. Spend a couple hours there training.
Make sacrifices.
Oh, man. But see, exactly. Look where they're at now.
For me, the fight that stood out was the main event, more so than anything, because I had just listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with Lovato, where he talks about what's going on with his brain injury.
Yes.
I won't quote names of what's going on, but if and even the commentator, when they interviewed at the end, said, "Hey, if you didn't go watch this,
it's
go
good.
listen to the podcast, watch the video, where he describes what's going on and why he had to give up the middleweight belt in Bellator." And hopefully he comes back, but he's able to do jiu-jitsu, but his brain scan that came back prior to his last fight in Brazil, he's not going to be able to fight right now. So having listened to that podcast and then seeing him fight, that was the fight that I, number one, enjoyed the most, respected out of all the fighters that were there, and even Cyborg mentioned it. I think that was my favorite. Just watching him coming, he's just got engaged, gets this information, then gets engaged, has to give up the belt, and still wants to fight, still wants to compete at any level, whatever level he can compete at. I thought it was amazing. Hats off to Lovato.
I'm glad that he stopped because I like Lovato too. I think he's an awesome. He's an animal. He's a beast. He's by far one of the best. He's up there. But I'm glad he stopped because I wouldn't want to have seen him get hurt in the ring. Mm-hmm. And you know what, man? Listen, the ring fighting is okay. That's fine. But he's successful. He has a successful academy.
Yeah.
You don't need to fight. Really? Well, how long are you going to fight anyway?
Yeah.
Come on. And that's why I think Gordon is not fighting. I think he decided not to fight also anymore.
I think he's mentioned that at the end there. He
May
wanted
or
to be,
may not.
He wanted to be on everybody's news feed in January.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I think
Whatever they want to do. But the point is that, listen, man, that's a tough.
You have a limited amount of
sport,
time.
man.
Yeah, you have a limited amount of time.
And those brain injuries is tough.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Junior. We're going to put out some of the interviews that you did.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Had some great interviews yesterday morning.
You talked to the crew from Henzo Gracie, basically. And I don't know if all of them, but most of them donated their gate and their pay-per-view
correct
to We Defy, the We Defy Foundation,
correct.
who you're also affiliated with.
I am. I'm an ambassador for them, for We Defy.
All right.
So, get that information out there where combat vets can come in and, get some jiu-jitsu covered.
You did some interviews where you talked about that. I haven't seen all the video. This just happened yesterday, so I haven't been able to look at it yet. But we'll put that out, and that'll be on YouTube and on social media as well. So we'll put that out. Thank you for doing that, man.
Awesome.
I really appreciate that. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, man, it was awesome, man. Great interviews.
Great interviews.
Probably spent
Howard Cosell yesterday, right?
10-15 minutes with each of them. Yeah, that was great.
All right, so let's wrap this up. We have just a speed round, Freddie, of 4 questions. These have somewhat evolved over a few episodes, but this will make sense. We're just going to go kind of speed round. We've all answered this in every guest we ask these questions. So we'll start with the 4 questions, and I would definitely leave the 4th one to Junior. It's his favorite.
Awesome.
If you could go back in time, Freddie, what would you tell the white belt you? The moment before you stepped on the mat, what's the advice that you'd give yourself?
That's a tough one.
It's a tough question. Some people jump on it, and some people have to think about it. But
because again, I'm more Fati, that stoic mindset. It is what it is. Things happen for a reason.
For
I
me,
did everything good.
For me, I always say, if I could go back, I would definitely tell myself to take care of my body a little bit more, so that I can, be in the sport, be doing this a lot longer. I didn't understand, the stretching and maybe even doing yoga, and just taking care of myself a little bit better. That's typically my answer. But
I worked out, so
yeah.
I was always that. None of that was. I don't know. That's a tough one. I think I'm gonna have to pass on that
Okay,
one because
all
I
right.
don't think I'd change anything.
No, not change, but what advice would you give yourself? We've had guys that say, we had Andres, one of our co-hosts, said, I'd tell myself to learn Portuguese. And then some people have said, hey,
I've been trying to do that since I started, bro.
Other people have said maybe, be patient, enjoy the journey, things like that, so. All right, we can move on to the next question. So, ultimate goal. What is your ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu? I mean, obviously you have a black belt. Some of our guests don't. We usually say, other than achieving the rank of black belt, what is your ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu? In this world, what would you like to leave behind?
To be an amazing instructor and to really help out and reach out as many people as I possibly can.
Awesome.
Whether it's through my academy, whether it's through videos, instructionals, that's why I have my YouTube channel. I'm constantly putting videos out there. I don't even charge for that because if I can reach out one person, I had a guy fly in from Europe. He's a police officer from Scotland somewhere.
Okay.
He flew in just to take a class with me because he had seen a video of me.
That's awesome.
Online.
That is awesome.
Bro, the things that make how that makes
feel
me
good,
feel
man.
is amazing.
Yeah.
I
That's awesome.
have people following me watching this. So yeah.
So, you
All
want
right,
to take the
here's
last
a question for you. What's the craziest jiu-jitsu related thing that's happened to you on the mat? What's the craziest?
On or off the mat, the question actually is. Other than what happened to you, which you've explained, other than what happened, that got
Farting.
you into jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
That's a good one.
We were in a tournament, in a school tournament, and it just happened to be really quiet at that one moment when the guy goes,
do you remember-
neon belly,
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
and they just ripped out.
That's
I wanted to crawl under the guy and pull him in. I wanted to stay there for a little bit. I ended up winning that match, by the way.
Nice.
I beat you.
I think that's happened to everybody. I
Yeah.
might have done that, maybe shrimping a little too
course.
hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course, man. It comes out. You have
The last time that happened to me, I was rolling. Somebody went neon belly, and Professor Sophia Amarante, right, and Janet, again one of our
They were
co-hosts,
next to you?
They were standing right there. They were standing. They weren't training. They were at least in standing position, and I let one rip. Right
Nice,
there, man. I was
nice.
just kind of smiled and kept.
Oh,
on
actually,
going.
and the other day, I always have grappling shorts under my gi because I'm ready for the NoGi.
Yeah.
I forgot I wasn't wearing them that day. And I always take them off in front of everybody. And boom, I pulled them down and everybody's looking at me. And
In your chonies. You're in your chonies.
Did you have underwear on?
yes, I had underwear on.
Okay.
And
Just
no
for
thong either.
Just for
That would've
clarification.
been-
Just
Oh,
for
man.
clarification.
Yeah.
So now I'm
Here's
gonna.
the last one.
Wait, hold on. You know I got to do my thing. I believe that this is probably the most important question that any of our guests will ever will ever answer. I just think that this is it's life changing for some of our listeners. But go on.
Do you wash your belt?
No.
And why? And why?
Well, Because it shrinks.
Yeah, okay.
Let me let you know this. I don't wash my belt either. Milton is a belt washer.
Because
and
his belt is magic.
And he's a proud belt washer.
I'm a proud belt. I wash my belt.
Okay.
Proud belt washer.
I don't see how that would really be a problem if you get an extra size, an extra long belt, and you know you're gonna wash it, because it really only shrinks the first time you put it in a dryer, but after that it won't shrink anymore.
But there's a lot of people don't wash it because
No, now you're making stuff up.
Yeah, no,
You're making stuff up.
I didn't even say anything yet.
You don't have to. People, do you wash or do you not wash your belt?
Some people say they don't wash because Jacob the Bull gave the best answer of anybody about why he doesn't wash it. He says he likes that it shows the training. It's
that's the original.
It's like you never wash it when it fades and it breaks and it
looks
rips.
old.
It's because it's the training.
You're a vet.
Where other people say they don't wash it because there's mojo. There's
Training,
mojo,
it's the training that's in there. Oh, that hard working.
My
Why would
thing
you
is
want to
just,
take?
hey, it's dirty. I wash it because it gets
Why would you
dirty.
want to take all that hard sweat that you've put into training and just wash it away?
That hard training, the staff, the MRSA, all that, I want to wash it away.
It's there.
And we actually, this is not an intro. We don't ask the question because of the product. The product came after. The triple thread is a laundry additive, like a fabric softener. I actually put in like a downy ball and I throw it in with my gi and my belt when I want. I usually pile them up for a couple of days and then I throw them all together. And that's what that triple thread is. It's a laundry additive.
Nice.
To kill all the germs and the bacteria.
Keep washing. Keep washing your belt. Keep it up.
That's it, Freddie. That was a couple of hours. Sorry to keep you so long. I mean,
Listen,
sometimes
I love
flies
it.
by.
Thank you, Freddie, for joining us, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
We appreciate you coming out, and listen, come back. Let's do this again one day. But if you ever have anything going on that you want to come and talk about, something going on in your life, in your academy, when you move the new academy, come back and talk to us. There's so much that we can still talk about this subject, about law enforcement, and just jiu-jitsu in general. So we'd love to have you back.
Well, and if anybody that's watching and wants me to go teach your police department, just reach out to me, freddytrillo@gmail.com.
There you go.
Pretty simple as
Take
that.
advantage of that, folks.
Why don't you give your Instagram handles, yours and the school?
Freddy Trillo. No, actually, Freddy_Trillo is my personal, and then you have Trillo Academy.
Trillo. Trillo,
Yes.
spell Trillo. Okay.
Yes.
So Freddy_Trillo and then Trillo Academy.
Which is funny. I have more followers on my personal than I do on my academy.
Well, that's a good thing. That's people do want to get. That's the business. I want to know. I want to meet the
person.
guy.
They want to know
person.
that's what
Hopefully
I'm doing
they
now.
got a good idea of who you are now, your mindset, your philosophy, what you bring to the jiu-jitsu world. We appreciate all your hard work with law enforcement, first responders, children. Thank you so much for opening your doors to me to come train. And again, like you mentioned, Fridays at 9:00 for law enforcement, stop in and get some training as well. So thank you, Freddie. Appreciate that.
Thank you to Bo behind the camera. Great
you,
job
Bo.
yesterday, filming at the weigh-ins and at the show last night. Thank you for doing what you did yesterday. For
My pleasure.
Putting on your Howard Cosell hat again. Thank you for coming out.
You got any shout outs?
Shout out to. I want to give a special shout out again to my pops. His 75th birthday tomorrow, and Jacob. Awesome meeting you last night. You put on a show. I think that was the best fight in my mind. Super aggressive, just amazing. And we introduced him to another event organizer, and hopefully he's going to come back out. So
yeah, for sure.
So good to see you. But thank you everybody for listening. Check us out. Share. You got something else?
Yep, I got a shout out. I was in Virginia last week.
Okay.
In Fredericksburg, to be specific. So thank you to Dave and his team at High Road BJJ for opening up their doors.
Very cool.
Taught a couple moves over there.
Yeah, so that you taught them a little knee on neck.
Yeah,
that they were excited about.
That's my cyborg move. I got that from him.
And one last shout out.
Go ahead.
I'll never hear the end of it. Marlene, my wife, love you.
Awesome.
We'll leave it there, guys.
I'm out.
Thank you for listening, guys. Us.
Peace out. We're out. See you next time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. I hope you
Thank
enjoyed
you.
yourself.
Thank you,
Freddie,
guys,
man.
for having me.